6 surgeons, 4 locations, 1 goal: to improve the health and lives of people in Oklahoma. At Oral and Maxillofacial Associates, we treat every patient like family. As the preferred dental implant and oral surgery specialist of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and with over 30 years of service to our community, we are trusted by professionals and dedicated to expert care. With 4 convenient locations around the metro area, we are here for you. Trust the experts at OMA. Visit our website www.omaok.com.
Welcome, football fans, to another playoff edition of the Skordle Pay Dirt Pick'em Show. I am your host, Andy Campbell. I am joined on the panel tonight, as always, by Mark Rogers, Sean Meek, and Jacob Diesehorst. We have added 2 coaches to the panel tonight, Lynn Shackelford from Cashion and Chris Elrick from Drumright. Coach Shack is a Morrison High School alum and has been head football coach at Cashion since 2006. Coach Shack has won 2 gold balls, 3 silver balls, and celebrated his 200th win in September of this year. Shaq, I know you had a rough end to your season last week in Minco, but had a lot of injuries this year to kind of derail a lot of your momentum. Tell us about your 2025 Wildcats and who's coming back next year for your team.
Yeah, a little bit disappointing into the season. We, like you said, I mean, we battled a little bit of the injury bug this year to some key players. But I mean, that's part of it. You can't really use that as an excuse, but kind of ran into a little bit of a really bad matchup for us in the first round of playoffs. Went to Minco, and they're enormous, and the physical part of it kind of took a toll on us. And we had we lost another kid early on in that game, and kind of cut short a lot of the things that we wanted to do on both sides of the ball. But really proud of our kids this year. Really proud of our coaches. I thought I thought we answered the bell a lot of weeks, especially with some kids out. Looking forward to next year. We got a really good group coming back. We lose 8 seniors, but we bring back a whole bunch of juniors and sophomores that have played quite a bit for us. So I think the future is bright in Cashion. It looks like we're probably going to end up going 2A next year, so that'll be a little bit of a new experience for us. But with the returning people that we have, I think we'll be pretty well equipped to do that. So, sad that it's over. And if I'm on here talking to you guys, that means we didn't finish as well as we had hoped. But we'll regroup and we'll give it a shot next year.
Thanks, Coach Shack. Our next guest, Chris Elrick, also a 200 game winner, achieving that feat at Drumright a couple of years ago in November of 2023. Chris has had a long coaching career, including stops at Yale, Stroud, and now Drumright. Coach Elrick, tell us about your Drumright season and what's coming back for you in 2026.
2025 was one of those bringing a lot of new guys in years. So we knew early in the season we were going to be in that learning phase. And, you never want to cry in your beverage about the injury bug, but, we lost a really good one on the first play of the season, out for the year, and then lost another one. And when you stack 4 starters on the injury list in 8-man football, that takes a toll. Really proud of the way our young kids stepped in and responded in those situations. And a 6-5 finished, getting bounced in the first round is never where you want to be. Again, tip of the hat to Coach Haney at Quinton. Those guys did a really good job last week preparing for us, and that one got away from us. But always looking forward to the next one and next year, and a good off season, and ready to go again next August. Thanks
for being on tonight, Coach. Before we get started, this last Friday, after the first round of the playoff games, Adam Horse and Mark Rogers on Skordle and WWLS started a new show, a Friday night recap show. Mark, tell us about the show. I know you guys had a bunch of coaches on, a bunch of administrators on, and you'll be doing that again this coming Friday for the quarterfinals. Is that correct?
That's right. We had a great time. And so we will kind of come on a little bit early. I think we start at 9 and break down some of the end of the games. We even checked in on a couple of live streams. So we might have the potential to do that again this week, hopefully. And then we will visit with coaches and administrators and media members and all that, just to get the latest of what's going on around the state and game. So it's kind of like the old Friday night final show, but streaming, or the show that they used to do on Fox Sports Southwest after the high school games in Texas. So we'll have a lot of fun this week.
I heard Coach Shackelford may make an appearance this coming Friday on the recap show. You can tune in and watch that on
Andy,
Score.tv and the
Andy, they
Score app.
asked me, they asked me to be on the show, but I'm holding out for more money. So just a little bit of a contract dispute right now. So I'll just leave it at that.
Hopefully they get that worked out before Friday, and Jacob can join as well. All right, we're going to have a long show tonight. If your favorite team is a Skordle Network school and you're still in the playoffs, we're going to talk about your game tonight on the show. We have 12 Skordle Network games to discuss, all of which available to watch for free. Skordle app, Skordle.tv, and the Skordle Network pages. 2 Skordle games of the week this week. Both of these will be school broadcast. Pacola at Fairview and Minko at Tonkawa. We'll discuss those games in just a couple of minutes. We're going to start in Class C and work our way up tonight. So starting the show with Maud at Timberlake. Maud moved on to the quarterfinals with a 46-28 win over Blue Jacket last week. And Timberlake advanced with a close 44-38 win over Geary a week ago. This game will be played in Timberlake at 7 p.m. on Friday. Mark, kick us off.
Third meeting all time between these two teams. Timberlake beat Maud in the quarterfinals a couple of years ago, 64-24. And Timberlake had a close one last week with Gary. That game was right down to the wire. Tigers have had some injuries this season, but I think Timberlake will win this game and advance on to the semifinals in this Class C, which always is tough with Tipton and Ryan and folks like that in there. So I think Timberlake takes down Maud.
Sean.
Yeah, Mark said it. So Timberlake district champ had a scare last week. Squeaked that one out against Geary, 44-38. Just Timberlake's just one of those teams been winning for a long time, and you look at the top teams in Class C. Man, there's so much strength out in Western Oklahoma with Tipton, Ryan, Mountain View, Timberlake, teams like that. I think those are the teams you're going to see in the semis next week. So Maud's had a great year. I don't think they got enough to get it done, so I'm going to take Timberlake at home.
Coach Elrick.
Man, it's always hard to bet against Coach Severin this time of year. He's been there, done that. So I'm going to roll with Timberlake over Maud.
Coach Shack.
Yeah, I agree with Chris. I mean, Coach Severin's probably one of the legends in 8-man. Always has his team ready. Always rocks the black jeans on the sidelines. So I'm going to roll with Timberlake and Coach Severin this week.
Jacob.
Speaking of rocking, I've continued my weekly hat domination with my trucker hat tonight. This is top notch right here, vintage. Yeah, so Maverick Judd, I think his name's come up as much as anybody's name on the show this year. I think that kid could probably be competing at any level right now, no matter what class he was in. I think Timberlake having him makes a big difference. I know Maud's on a winning streak coming into this game, and so they're going to try to ride that. But Timberlake is balanced and explosive, and those two things help out this time of year. So I have Timberlake a 15.5-point favorite, and I have them covering just by a hair, 36-20. Timberlake moves on.
Winner of that matchup will face the winner of Medford Mountain View Gotebo game in the semifinals in Class C. Let's move on to Pick'em game number 2. We'll go to Class B2. Start with top-ranked Sealing Wildcats, who ended Strother's season by a score of 50-0 in the first round. The Wildcats will host Coyle, who went on the road and defeated Conan 42-18 last week. Sean Meek, who wins in Sealing on Friday?
Oh yeah, Sealing's become a monster in Class B. Division II, Coach Manuel Sealing just has good teams every year. They blanked Strother last week, pitched a shutout in the first round. I just think Sealing's too much, so I'm going to go with Coach Manuel and the Wildcats at home to get it done.
Mark?
Yeah, Coyle's had a pretty good season. They played a tough schedule. They had Tipton in the non-district portion, and so Coach Cooper's team has been pretty good this year. But I like Sealing. That's we're going to see some really good games in this class, I think, on down the road when some of these teams start meeting up in the semifinals and finals. But I think that the Wildcats are going to advance this week.
Shack?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to roll with Sealing. I got to watch them up close and personal last year. We hosted their semifinal game. football's a big deal in sealing. Athletics is a big deal in seating in sealing. I mean, they're strength conditioning coach. They lift their kids. I mean, they're doing it the right way. I mean, when they get off the bus, they generally look different than whoever it is they're getting ready to play. So I'll have a hard time betting against them in any of the next 3 games.
Coach Elbert.
I actually went out to Pond Creek and watched scrimmages. We'd scrimmage on Thursday, and there was a good scrimmage at Pond Creek on Friday night. And Coyle was one of those teams, and got to watch them up close. And I was impressed with their speed. I was impressed with how hard their kids play. And they've had a really good run, but not that good. They've had a great season, but Coach Manuel and Sealing, those dudes are tough. So I'm going with Sealing.
Jacob.
Yeah, Coyle's had a good year. Coyle is somebody that I've been paying attention to this season. We've got to pick a few of their games all year long, and they've been competitive every game. They got some playmakers, but they're running into a brick wall Friday night in Sealing. There's no better way to put it. Sealing's outscored their opponents 562 to 152. So, and they have played some good teams along the way too, and they've won games against the best teams they've played in dominant fashion. I look back at that O'Keene game and some other games early this season. And so Sealing's lines and depth are a separator. They're tough. They're a tough football team, and toughness carries them a long ways. That and home field advantage, I got them a 22-point favorite, and I think they cover and win 44-20.
Entire panel taking the Wildcats. If the Wildcats do prevail in that matchup, they will face the winner of Cherokee-Surreal game in the Class B2 semifinals next week. All right, let's move on to Pick'em game number 3. This should be a really great matchup in the B2 quarterfinals. The O'Keene Whippets moved to 10-1 on the year after a dominant 60-12 win over Wetumpka in the first round. O'Keene will take the long bus ride to Henrietta to take on Wilson, who took out Cub Dug 48-28 last week. Mark Rogers, who moves on to the semifinals?
I think O'Keene's been waiting to get even for this one for a long time. They lost last year 58-50 to Wilson from Henrietta, and O'Keene's got a good football team. So I think that this will be a high-scoring affair, but I think O'Keene will get the revenge and advance this year.
Mark taking the team from Blaine County. Sean Meek, let's go to you.
Yeah, O'Keene's got a really good football team. Their only loss on the year is to Sealing, so no shame in that. Coach Tanner Allen at O'Keene, I've been impressed with what he's done, even going back to when he was at my alma mater at Winoka and how much success he had there. And now he's taking the same thing to O'Keene. I'm going to take O'Keene to go on the road and get it done. I just think they got a really good football team. I know what kind of football they play. I think they're on a roll, so I'm going to take the Whippets.
Coach Elric.
Well, first of all, I didn't know Coach Meek was a railroader, so you learned something new on the show, right? I'm going to say the Whippets get on the Yellow Dog and travel for 2 hours and 44 minutes and go get a big dub. I'm taking Tanner Allen and the O'Keene Whippets.
Coach Shack.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with the Whippets as well. Football's a big deal in O'Keene, kind of like Sealing, and they kind of hang around and wait for this time of the year and then play their best football. That's kind of been their MO for the last 30 years. So I'm gonna take O'Keene, and hopefully that'll end up letting us host them next week. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. So I'm taking the Whippets.
Jacob.
Coach, and I didn't know if you knew this or not, but I went to Fairview. Diesel Horse boys went to Fairview, Oklahoma, up in Northwest Oklahoma. So tell me, how did Henrietta Wilson pull an upset to get to host this game? Is that how that worked out?
They're the district champs in C4. So O'Keene was runner up to
I see.
Sealing.
Okay.
Thus, they host.
Yeah, but yet on paper, this looks like a game that O'Keene, looks to be the favorite. But going on the road, and then coming off the big win over Covington Douglas, I think there's some momentum there. So this might be a little tighter game than people think. I think O'Keene's definitely more talented. I have O'Keene a 12-point favorite, and I think they get it done, but I have the game pretty tight, 42-32.
Winner of that matchup will play the Waukoma-Wacomas game in the semifinals. We'll talk about that matchup here in just actually right now. Let's go to pick'em game number 4. Wacomas finished second in B2-3 this year and defeated Weber's Falls 56-30 to advance to the quarterfinals. Wacomas will play its first playoff road game this year at Walika, the defending state champs. Walika is 11-0 on the year and took out Shattuck 64-14 last week. Sean Meek, can Wacomas pull off the upset?
Well, Waukoma's a good football team. There's some good things going on at Waukomas right now. They made their first ever fast pitch state tournament this fall, so shout out to those girls for qualifying fast pitch. I know some folks up there that have kind of had a hand in that too. So there's some good things going on at Waukomas athletically. They've had a good year, but my gosh, Walik is a monster. I mean, they're an absolute engine. I mean, their only somewhat close game was a 16-point win over Dewar. So I don't think Waukomas has enough in the tank to go on the road and beat Walika. So I will go with Walika in this one.
Mark?
Yeah, well, Walika's had really one competitive game all season long. That was against Dewar in a game in which they won 36-20. They've got a phenomenal, multi-talented quarterback in Isaac Drake. So they're going to be tough to beat for anybody in this class. They're very, very good. So I think Walika gets the better of Waukomas this week.
Check.
Yeah, Walika's got two really good things going for them. Their head coach is Morrison alumni, first of all. So hard to bet against him. And they might have the best in Oklahoma. The Outlaw Horses is pretty legit. So two things that are definitely working in their favor, plus they got some freaks, and freaks matter in the playoffs. So I'm taking the Outlaw Horses, and it probably won't be that close.
Now, Shaq, can you tell us exactly why it's the Outlaw Horse and not just Outlaws?
No, I can't. And we really need to probably take a deep dive into that. But I remember when we used to go there and play when I was, in high school way back in the day. They used to have a huge horse painted on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Hawkins, who's a legend in Walika, who's also a Morrison grad.
Field is named after him.
Yeah, it should be. They probably should name the school after him as well. But he was the one who first informed me that they were actually the Outlaw Horses. So, ever since then, I've kind of rolled with it and made sure everybody understands. But it's if you've never been to Walika, it's a cool place. And football's a big deal down there for sure. And it wasn't until Coach Hawkins got there. So he's definitely left his mark on that town. And their traditions is pretty unmatched, really, in 8-man football over the last 30 years.
All right, Coach Elric, Waukomas at Walika.
Oh man, Coach Shack stole my thunder a little bit with the Coach Hawkins reference. I was going to say I was going with fighting Hawkins the whole way here. Wetumpka's had a good year. Not Wetumpka, my bad. Waukomas has had a good year, but they still paint the Outlaw Horse on the field. Nice big yellow Outlaw Horse outlined in purple. Coach Garinger and those guys down there do a great job. They've got a ton of athletes. They spread it out. They throw it around, and the quarterback can go. And dudes matter, just like you said. So I'm going with Walika.
Jacob.
What is the kid's name from Walika? Who's the stud?
Isaac Drake.
Isaac Drake. Yeah, that kid. I saw he was Skordle Player of the Week a few weeks ago. I looked at his stat line from that game, and then I just got curious, so I went back and looked at some of his other stat lines from this season, and that kid is carrying that football team right now. And it helps that he's got a lot of talent around him too. I think they've got a few other young kids that are playing a lot less like freshmen, a lot more like juniors and seniors right now. Having a leader like him around them probably doesn't hurt. So I think Walika again and Sealing are on a crash course in that state championship game. I hope they're in the same class. I bet I didn't get that wrong. That would have sounded stupid, but assuming I'm right, I think that's where those two teams are headed. I see Walika a 18.5-point favorite, and I have them winning 44-20.
All right, winner of that matchup again will face the winner of that Wilson O'Keene game that we just talked about in the semifinals. Let's go to our next B2 game. This is pick'em game number 5. The Cherokee Chiefs shut out Arcoma 46-0 last week to advance to 9-2 on the season. Cherokee will host another playoff matchup this week versus Surreal, whose only loss on the year came to Walika back in early October. Mark, who wins in Cherokee on Friday?
Cherokee's they've had a good season this year, bouncing back from 6-6 season last year, and you mentioned winning against Arcoma, so 9-2. Bruce Harrells took over at Surreal before this year, and he's one of the best eight-man coaches out there. And I knew that when he got there, they had to have some good players. Surreal's been pretty good in basketball, and so they're athletes at the school, but they just haven't been able to get it done in football. So they had a tough opponent last week in Boise City. I think that Nash Harmon is one of the better players in this class. Their quarterback, he's putting up video game numbers all the time there. So I'm going to go with Coach Harrell and the Shrill Pirates.
Sean Meek.
Yeah, this one looks pretty tough to pick. Cherokee's won 9 in a row. I mean, so they're rolling after an 0-2 start, 2 losses early in the season against 2 really good teams in Timberlake and Pioneer. But they've won 9 in a row. They're rolling. This one looks like a toss-up to me. Everything Mark said, both teams are playing really well. Both teams got a lot of guys that can make plays. I'm going to take Cherokee just for the simple fact that they're at home. So I'm gonna kind of count the 2-hour bus ride that Surreal's got to take up there to take a toll on those guys. But I think it's a toss-up. I'll take the Chiefs at home and for them to go face Ceiling next week in the semis.
Coach Elrick.
Man, Cherokee's just hard to bet against at home. They play such a physical brand of football, and this time of year, that always pays off. I think those guys are going to get after it. Mark brought up Coach Harrell at Surreal, and he's done a good job. They've got a ton of athletes. They put up some big numbers, but I'm going to go with Cherokee at home.
Shaq.
I'm going to be honest. I don't really know much about either one of these two teams. So other than state champ quarterbacks coaching in Surreal. So I reached out to some 8-man, friends of the program. I won't divulge their names just for their safety. But the consensus was take the Chiefs at home. So I'm gonna go with that. So I'll take Cherokee.
Jacob.
Yeah, this is a tough game, man. This is a really probably the best matchup in the second round. Really hard game to pick. Cherokee's been explosive and high scoring and exciting to watch all season. I think they kind of shocked everybody to start the season off with that huge win early in the year, upset win, and they've just kind of stuck with that same, physical but again, explosive football team. I agree with the rest of the panel. This was a really hard game to pick, a really hard game to put a line on. I have Cherokee a 2.5-point favorite at home, and expect a very tight football game. And I'm actually going to go against the grain here, and I'm going to pick an upset because I always like to pick an upset every week. And so I think it's going to be a tight 2-point game, but I've got Cherokee losing to Cyril 26-24.
Jacob taking the Pirates to prevail in that matchup. The winner, that Surreal Cherokee game, will get Ceiling Coil winner in the semifinals. Let's move up to Class B Division 1. The Dewar Dragons moved to 9-2 on the year with a 54-6 first-round win over Foyle last week. Dewar will host another playoff matchup this week, taking on the Waurika Eagles. Waurika went on the road to Enid and got an upset 22-20 win over Oklahoma Bible Academy last week. Sean Meek starts off. Waurika at Dewar.
Well, you said it, Andy. Waurika went up to OBA and got a nice upset on the road last week, 22-20 up at Enid. These two teams played in week 5, and Dewar won 46-0. I think that's probably going to be too much for Waurika to overcome. I know it's not always the same story 6 weeks later, but I just think Dewar's too much of a machine right here for Waurika. I think Dewar's going to win, set up a semifinal matchup with Hollis next week, which will be an absolute slugfest. So I'm going to take the Dragons.
Mark.
Waurika really scheduled tough in the non-district. They played Waurika, Caddo, and Dewar. I mean, those are 3 top teams in 8-man football. So they're battle-tested to get the win at OBA last week. And I think this game probably will be a little closer than the regular season matchup at 46-0, but Dewar Dragons advance.
Shaq.
Yeah, I agree with Mark and Sean. I think the Dragons are probably a little bit too much. It is hard to beat somebody twice, but as bad as Dewar beat them the first time, I mean, that's a lot to have to overcome. Plus, Dewar's playing at home, which I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's probably been a minute since they've lost a home playoff game at Dewar. So I'm gonna take the Dragons.
Coach Elric.
Take it easy, Eagles. I got a peaceful, easy feeling that Dewar rolls on. And yes, I've been waiting to give that Eagles reference the whole night.
Nice. That's good.
That was well done. Jacob's going to you, Ulrika at Dewar.
That was good stuff. Eagles reference. Yeah, Dewar, they have a lot of shutouts this season on defense, and that's always a sign, I think, of a football team that knows how to dominate games, and where that starts is dominating the line of scrimmage, dominating the mental game. I think is a big part of being able to shut teams out, and having beat Waurika 46-0 early in the season. I think Waurika has improved a lot, but it's a big step up here. And going on the road, I've got Dewar a 27.5-point favorite. One of those little lines that you'd look at and be like, "Oh, are they going to win by 4 touchdowns?" Guess what they are? I have them covering, winning, going away 48-12.
All right, entire panel taking Dewar to win that game. If they do, they'll, as Sean mentioned earlier, they'll face the winner of the Hollis-Quinton matchup in the semifinals. Let's go to pick'em game number 7, which takes us to Pond Creek Hunter. They went on the road last week and got a playoff win in Empire by a score of 18-8. Now the Panthers will go on the road to take on the 7-3 Yale Bulldogs. Yale won District B3 and dispatched Keota 30-6 last week. Mark Rogers, give us a preview. Pond Creek Hunter at Yale.
This is another Yale's another team that's scheduled incredibly tough. They also faced Dewar and Waurika and Coyle in the non-district portion of the season, so they've come on in their district and they've played really well. So I know Coach Ellerick knows a lot more about Yale than I do. I think this game, to me, this one is a really close one and a tough one to call. I'm going to go with Pond Creek in a tight one.
Sean.
Yeah, I agree with Mark. I think this is probably one of the toughest games this week to pick. I think this is probably the closest game of any of the B1 quarter games this week. I think it's a toss-up, but I'm going to agree with Mark. I'm going to take Panthers. I'm going to take Pond Creek Hunter to go on the road and get it done.
Coach Elric.
Well, Mark hit it on the head. Some ties to Yale. We played them this year, played them the last couple of years. Also coached at Yale for 8 years. So, definitely some history there. I've got this down as a 50-50. It's a pick'em game. And all day I've been Pond Creek. But I think Coach Bowman does a great job up there. But I'm going Yale.
Jack.
Again, I don't know anything about this game, so I reached out once again to some friends of mine that are 8-man coaches, and like Chris said, everybody was, it's a pick'em. So that being said, since I got to pick one or the other, and Coach Kerr has been at Pond Creek for probably 30 years, and was the guy in high school that made sure I made it home after practice every day when he was a senior and I was a freshman. So I'm taking the Panthers only because of David Kerr. So if they win, everybody can pat David on the back.
Coach Kerr, good friend of the show. I've had him on many times. Jacob Esource, go to you. Pond Creek at Yale.
Yeah, again, this is one of the tough games on my confidence scale when I was picking this week. I had that Cherokee game as a 5 out of 10 in my confidence. This one's a 6 out of 10. It's a really hard game to pick, because it's going to come down to whichever team plays better, whichever team makes big plays, avoids turnovers. Yale being at home, I think it's a big advantage for them. But Pond Creek Hunter has road chops. I mean, they've kind of won some road games this year, but I've been really impressed with what Yale's defense has been able to do in some of their games this season. I think that with home field, the home edge, I got them a 4-point favorite, and I think they come out on top on a push, 28-24.
Pond Creek Hunter Yale winner gets the Laverne Caddo game winner in the semifinals. Let's go to pick'em game number 8. We're going to move up to 11-man football in Class A Division II. Southwest Covenant finished 4th in A1, but went on the road and got a playoff win at Kanawha by a score of 28-26. Southwest Covenant gets rewarded by hosting a playoff quarterfinal game against Allen, who finished 2nd in A3, District A3. Allen defeated Woodland 31-26. Last week, Mark Rogers, Allen at Southwest Covenant.
Great win for Allen to knock out the defending champs. They also, again, had a very difficult schedule, playing Wynnewood and Tallahena. They have not lost since September the 26th. So they've now won 6 games in a row. Reed Bach's team is pretty impressive. The Southwest Covenant beat Kanawha twice this year in Kanawha. They won the regular season 7-0, and then, as you mentioned, won last week 28-26. I think Southwest Covenant has probably faced a little bit more of a difficult schedule. Mangum and Thomas in their district are super teams. Another very tight game. I would say that I would expect Jacob's spread on this to be less than a field goal. I'm going to go with Southwest Covenant to get the win.
Sean Meek.
Well, here's your random playoff stat of the week here. So Southwest Covenant was only one of 2 4 seeds in the state to go on the road and get an upset win over a 1. They beat Kanawha, and then the other 4 seed was Claremore to go on the road and beat Coweta, and they both won by the same score, 28-26. So not that any of that matters, but there's your random stat of the week. No, nice win by Southwest Covenant last week. They went up there to Kanawha and got that done. Allen, Mark mentioned this. Allen had a huge win, first round, knocking off the defending champs in Woodland. Allen's been playing really well since that loss to Tallahena. They've won 7 in a row since. So I'm going to take Allen to keep their momentum rolling and get it done against Southwest Covenant.
Shaq.
We've played Southwest Covenant the last couple of years in junior high, and they've got some skill kids that are pretty good. They've got some talent. Coach Jensen I think he does a really good job getting his kids ready to play, and you can kind of see they've kind of been making some strides to become a team in A2 that I think people are going to have to deal with for a little while, or until they go to the quarterfinals twice and have to move up. But they've kind of got it figured out over there a little bit. So I'm taking the boys from UConn in this one in a close one.
Coach Elrick.
I think it's a close one. I don't know a ton about Southwest Covenant, or I guess Allen for that matter, but I do know that, Coach Box at Allen, it's not his first trip down the turnpike. That dude's coached for a while. He's made some playoff runs. And from what I understand, we got a coach's kid playing quarterback for him at Allen. So I'm going with Allen.
Jacob.
Yeah, this is going to be a contrast of styles. Allen's been rolling lately. That win over Woodland really stands out to me. And I think Allen's run game travels. I really do. I have Allen a 2.5-point favorite going on the road in another one of only 6 of 10 confidence games. So again, it's another really, really tight game to pick. But I have Allen as a slight favorite going on the road, and I see Allen as well. I agree with Coach Elrick on this one. I think Allen squeaks out a 30-28 win.
Winner of that Allen Southwest Covenant game gets to face the winner of a really good quarterfinal game in A2, Hominy versus Thomas. That should be a great matchup. We're not going to talk about that game on the show tonight, but should be a great matchup there with Thomas and Hominy.
Oklahoma Career Tech. It's where confidence is built. It's more than just practice. It's developing the skills to build a successful future. We're doing work that matters.
To more than just us.
So, when a family needs me,
When my community needs me.
When Oklahoma needs me,
I'll be ready.
All right, let's go to pick'em game number 5, our first Skordle game of the week. Again, a Skordle Network game, and I understand from Adam that former Speaker of the House Jeff Hickman and Coach Barton, basketball coach, are calling that game together, so it should be a good broadcast crew. The Fairview Yellow Jackets moved to 10-1 on the season with the 26-0 shutout win over Hobart at Eubanks Field last week. Hobart will host Pecola. I'm sorry, Fairview will host Pecola on Friday. I can't read my own notes tonight. Pecola is 8-2 and finished second in A3 before defeating Pawnee in the first round of the playoffs last week. Mark Rogers, Pecola at Fairview.
Ooh, tough game. Tough game. Pecola played the defending champs Rejoice Christian to a very, very tight game. Had a chance to win it in the fourth quarter on their home field a little bit earlier. So these are two teams that you're probably not going to see match up ever again unless it's in the playoffs like this. Haddon Miller had a great week. Had over 300 yards receiving for Fairview in that game against Hobart. So this is a team I think that can run it and throw it. I've always been impressed with the intensity that Fairview plays defense with. They're sure tacklers. They'll have their hands full in this one, but I'm going to go with Fairview, and I think that this is one of those bus trips that's just so hard to overcome. Having to be on the bus for 5 hours, one of the longest trips will be taken this weekend by Pecola. So I'll go Fairview, but it'll be a close game.
Sean.
This is a tough game, like Mark said. Two really, really good teams that are playing well. Pecola, their only two losses this year are Vian and then Rejoice, both close games. Fairview's got that one loss on the year. So two really good teams that are both playing well. I'm going to agree with everything Mark said. I'm going to pick Fairview just in a close one for the same reasons he did. But I can see this game going either way, but I'll go with the Yellow Jackets at home.
Shaq, you played Fairview a couple of weeks ago. Give us your thoughts on this matchup with Pecola.
Yeah, we did. And I had Coach Bernard send me some Pecola film because I'm a weirdo and like to watch a bunch of football tape. But Pecola's legit. They've got some freaks. They really do. Their quarterback's really good. I think he's thrown for, over 6,000 yards or 7,000 yards, something like that in his career. And he's got some weapons on the outside that he can spin it out there too. And Mark's right. They had a legitimate chance to beat Rejoice. The Vian score is way different than what the game was. It was a one-score game with about 3 minutes left in the game. And Pecola had some opportunities in that game to make it a lot different. They just had some unfortunate things happen at the end. The score kind of got away from them. But if it was on a neutral field, I'd say Pecola was probably going to win. The thing about Fairview that's kind of wild, since Jacob and Adam and those guys decided to put their name on the turf at Fairview, I don't think Fairview hasn't lost a home game. So it's a tough place to play. They play a whole lot different at home than they do on the road, just like a lot of people do. And having home field advantage in the playoffs at some places really matters. And I think at a place like Fairview, it really matters. So I think it's going to be high scoring. It might be one of those deals that whoever gets it last has a chance to win. But I'm going to take Coach Bernard, who I think does an incredible job and is one of the better coaches in our state. But I'm going to take the Yellow Jackets in a squeaker at home. But I think all four of the quarterfinal games in Class A have opportunities to be just incredible football games and could go probably either way. And I think Class A is as wide open as it's been probably since 2018. But I'll take Fairview maybe on a last-second field goal.
Coach Elliott.
Man, this is a great game on paper. It's a great game on the field. 4 hours and 15 minutes, 280 miles of a bus ride. It's a pick'em game. And Jacob, I did know that the Diesel Horse were from Fairview. I was aware of that.
Yeah.
But
That's
I
a plug.
got to say, Coach Shack talks about the Pecola quarterback being a dude. Well, Coach Shack also has a dude at Cashin. And, Cashin didn't quite get it done against Fairview a couple of weeks ago. And I think all signs point to Fairview. But I'm super impressed with Pecola's win over Pawnee. I know how Pawnee plays. I know the physicality. I know the style of offense. So I'm going to go against the grain and go with Pecola.
Jacob Dieselhorst.
Wow. That's risky. That's risky business. Yeah, no, I mean, kudos to Picola. That's a big time winning over Pawnee and getting to advance. And we've been talking about how a Class A1 is going to be, even the second round games were all, semifinal quality games. And now you're getting into the quarters, and all these matchups are just tough games to pick, tough games to call, except this one. I feel pretty confident about this. The Yellow Jackets are just too talented and at every position. It seems like I think they feel like they Coach Bernard does a good job of finding kids to play the positions and buy into playing their positions and playing their positions well. They play like a team. They've been since that loss at Tonkawa, they won 8 in a row. I feel like they've gotten better every week. Home field's a big deal too. I've got them a 9.5 point favorite, and I think they cover and win 38-28 and move on. Go Jackets.
Coach Ellerick is making his final appearance tonight on the show, coming on this Skordle Pick'em show, picking against Fairview. So it's Chris, it's been good to see you.
No, not at all. We like the diversity over here.
Well, Fairview does move on. They will face the winner of the Tonkawa-Minko game in the semifinals. So let's go ahead and discuss that matchup, which is our second Skordle game of the week. That'll be played in Tonkawa, where the Bucks will match up against the Minko Bulldogs in what should be a really great football game in Class A. Minko got a home playoff win, 24-14 over Cashin last week. Tonkawa is 10-1 on the year after putting a beatdown on Haskell, 40-7. Sean Meek, Minko at Tonkawa.
Yeah, big win by Coach Wardlaw's guys last week, and beating Cashin and Coach Shackelford's team. Coach, yeah, hey, Coach, you guys have been. You guys have been one of the standards in Class A football for a long time. So, that's just a tip of the cap to Minko and being able to get that win, because you guys have been as good as coach a long time. But Coach Wardlaw has built that thing into where they can, go compete with anybody and get those kind of wins. So he's built a great program there in Minko. Got a lot of respect for what he's doing. But I've got Tonkawa. Before the playoffs started, I had them matching up with Fairview in the semis, so I'm going to stick with that pick in Class A. But I think this is a close game. I think Minko got a chance to go up there and get it done, but I just think Tonkawa will be too much. So I'm going to take the Bucks.
Mark,
this ought to be a slugfest. Both these teams will get after each other. Shaq will have a better pick on this game than me, but I'm going to go with Tonkawa.
Shaq.
Yeah, I did get to see Minko up close and personal on Friday. They're huge, which, Minko's always huge, but they got a sophomore tackle that's 6'7", like 285, and they've got two other defensive tackles that are 280 and 300 pounds, and they've got linebackers that can run and secondary players that can fly around. So I think it's going to be low scoring. I've watched Tonkawa on film. I watched them against Fairview. Watched them against Pawnee. They're extremely good on the defensive side of the football. Coach Harmon does a great job of getting those guys lined up right and just letting them go play. And they'll put 11 guys out there who aren't afraid to go stick their face on somebody else's face. And that's, not normal in high school football, that you can get 11 guys that want to go hit you. So I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to come down to a little bit of, who takes care of the football. I know in our game, we had it 3 times in the second half. So, possessions are going to be important, and how when you have scoring opportunities, you're going to have to take advantage of them. But Tonkawa at home, I know I saw they're inviting everybody that's ever put on a Buck jersey back for a tailgate before the game, because they're turfing the field after tonight. It'll be the last time, any Buck will ever step foot on the grass there. So I would imagine the place will be packed, like O'Keene and Sealing and a lot of places. Football is a big deal in Tonkawa, and it's going to be a really big deal on Friday. Neutral site, I'd say probably a toss-up. But since Tonkawa gets them at home, I'm going to take the Bucks. And I mean, I don't know, 14-12, something like that. It'll be low scoring. Mark, it'll probably be over before you guys come on the air at 9. So
Yeah.
you guys start off talking about that. But I'll take Tonkawa in a close one.
I didn't know the ground was that holy there at that Tonkawa field. I mean, I got in the game as a sophomore the last time Blackwell beat them in 1985.
Well, I mean, you think about the history from 1985. I mean, they've thrown up some banners since then in Buck
Yes,
Country.
they have. They have.
All right, Coach Elric, let's go to you. Minko at Tonkawa.
Hey, I was just going to let Jacob know another fun fact, kind of back to Fairview. My first year out of college, I was assistant coach at Piedmont, sitting in the press box and had we'll call it an interesting discussion with the fans sitting in the row right below the press box with the open windows. And if you want, I'll fill you in on those details off the air. Minko at Tonk, one of the things I love about Class A, Class 2A football is some of the second round matchups that you get, and you get a semifinal or sometime even a state championship game feel in round 2. And it happens more often than you think it would, just the way the brackets fall and who wins the district and who doesn't. And I think, man, Class A is full of those this year. Minko at Tonko being one of them. Minko at Tonkawa being one of them. Battle of the coaches, kids. Wardlaw versus Harmon. I'm going to go with Harmon. Go Bucks.
Jacob.
I'm so Adam has got me all twisted up about Tonkawa because I understood that I got in trouble with some Tonkawa fans during the season because I picked against them, even though they won those games, and then I think I picked them to win a game and they won a game. So now I'm not like going with my instincts here. I'm going strictly on emotion, which is never a good thing for a football player to do when it comes this time of season. In a game like this, which by the way I set the over under at 38. On this game, Coach. What do you think about that? Do you think over or under on that, Coach Shack?
Take the
under on that one. Yeah, 38. So it's right there. It might close at 36.5. So if you're gonna get your unders in, you might want to do it now. After I probably would have been leaning toward Tonko on this game, but after Ryan Beck's 8-minute oration last week on Minko, when we discussed the Minko game, I'm sold on Minko. I feel like they might be a team of a little bit of destiny maybe this season. I think, some things that happened early in the season kind of maybe set in motion this team to great heights. And I despite the fact that I have Tonkawa a 4-point favorite, just keeping my tradition up as a villain in Tonkawa for the rest of the season, I might as well. I've ruined their lives in basketball 2 years, I think, in area. So just keep it going. I have them 4-point favorites, but I've got Minko flipping the table and winning this one 18-14 in a slugfest. Minko with the upset.
All right, again, winner of that matchup will face the winner of the Pocola Fairview game in the semifinals in A1. Before we move on to Washington in Class 2A, I'm going to put Coach Shack on the spot here and have him give us a preview of the other side of that bracket in A1. Wynnewood versus Pawhuska and Rejoice versus Hooker. 2 really great matchups. Coach Shack, just give us a little preview of what you think those 2 games will turn out.
I haven't watched one snap of Pawhuska this year, and I should have had Coach Hennessy send me some film, but I did watch Wynnewood play Minko. They're starting to look like what Wynnewood used to look like when Coach Osteen was there before. He's kind of got that rolling in the right direction. Matt's going to bring, Coach Hennessy is going to bring a team down there that, is going to do things that they haven't seen all year with the way they throw the ball around. The district that Pawhuska's been in, I think, is probably pound for pound a little bit tougher than the one Wynnewood's been in. So, I think that would, just like these other ones, I think that one's going to be probably, maybe who gets it last kind of a thing. But, I think Pawhuska's kind of been there a little bit. They're kind of due. I think they've, haven't probably played their best football in the playoffs the last couple of years, but I know Coach Hennessy really likes his team. So I think Pawhuska might pull an upset there. The other quarterfinal game between Rejoice and Hooker, Hooker's had they've had some kids kind of get hurt and they're a little bit beat up. And going into Rejoice is never easy. And Rejoice has, like I say all the time, and they have two freaks, and everybody thinks they have freaks. They've got two freaks. I mean, if OU's on campus and Alabama's on campus and Georgia's on campus, you've got freaks, and Rejoice has those too. So I think that's probably going to be a little bit too much for Hooker. The bus ride's not going to be. I mean, it's a Tuesday for Hooker to drive, to Owasso, so that won't be a factor. But I think the quarterback in the whiteout for Rejoice will be a factor. So I think Rejoice gets that one. And like I said, I mean, I think Class A's. I think there's going to be some incredible games over the next 3 weeks in Class A Division I.
Mark, I think we need to have Coach Shack on for a semifinal Class A Division I matchup. So you can just break down film for an hour, and we can all sit here and watch.
No, it'd be good. Right. I like what he said. I mean, about Rejoice. ZZ Oklahoma-Weezy, who committed to OU, I believe, and then Camion Compton Nero he's awesome. So those two dudes are really, really good players.
All right, Skordle Network game number 11 to discuss tonight. Class 2A Division I. The defending champion Washington Warriors made quick work of Chisholm 46-6 last week. Washington will host Kiefer in the quarterfinals. Kiefer is 9-2 on the season, squeaked out a 20-15 win against Chandler last week. Mark, can Kiefer pull off a shocker on Friday?
I don't think so. Hunter Shepard, I saw some video he posted of a pep rally. I think it was last week at Washington where they turned all the lights out and they had glow sticks and the band was playing on it. It was pretty cool. So Washington is used to winning this time of the year. Kiefer's a very good team. I think things will get tougher for Washington next week, but I think that they will advance here. Coach Worley's son at quarterback is really good for Kiefer, but I think Washington wins.
Sean.
Kiefer's a really good football team. They've had a great year. Washington's an absolute machine. They just got too many ways that they can beat you, too many ways they can hurt you. I've got Washington and Jones on a collision course in 2A1. So I just, Kiefer proved me wrong last week. I picked Chandler to win last week. Kiefer had a good win against the Lions, but they don't have enough to get it done this week. So I'll take the Warriors at home.
Coach Albert.
A lot of credit to Coach Worley up there at Kiefer. And anytime you look, I mean, let's call it what it is. Kiefer traditionally wasn't a football powerhouse by any stretch of the imagination, but over the last, 3, 4, 5 years, they're traditionally a quarterfinal team, a semifinal team. Like they're up there knocking on the door, doing some great things. So, tip of the cap to that guy in that program. But at the end of the day, man, Washington is the gold standard right now. I got to go with Coach Beller and Washington.
Coach Shack.
Yeah, I hate this because Coach Worley we were roommates in college for a while, so I've known Trent for a long time, and I think a lot of times just kind of how brackets fall. Sometimes you get a team that might be a semifinal team if they get a different matchup, but going to Washington isn't going to be easy. Kind of like Fairview. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, anybody know last time Washington lost a home playoff game? Or just a home game in general?
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a minute. So Coach Beller's kind of figured it out down there in Washington, and they're rolling along, and it's probably going to be a long night for my old college roommate. So I'll take the Warriors.
Jacob.
Washington, Coach Beller's done one heck of a job just keeping that locomotive going. And I think as the season has gone on this year, Case Alexander has kind of set himself apart as one of the most talented football players in the state on both sides of the ball. I know he's a awesome tight end, but I know he's turned into one heck of an outside linebacker and just kind of a put him anywhere kind of guy. I know they rush the passer with him and they use him in pass coverage and do all kinds of different things. When you got a kid that talented, it's a luxury and a lot of things, good things going for Washington. Kiefer's legit, had a great season, but Washington's defense and depth and home field usually suffocate teams in November, and I don't see that changing. I got Washington a 3-touchdown favorite, and I think they win 35-14.
Entire panel taking the Warriors. If they do win that matchup with Kiefer, they will face the winner of the Metro Christian OCS game in the semifinals next week.
Last loss for Washington at home, I believe, is Marlowe in 2018.
Been a long time.
Wow. And that was like a last second touchdown, I think, from the goal line or something. I remember we picked that game.
14-3 Outlaws. Okay. Could have been the last second touchdown.
I think Washington was going into scoring like pick 6 or something. If I remember right. Something crazy. Yeah.
All right, our final Skordle Network pick'em game for tonight. The Kingfisher Yellow Jackets moved to 8-3 on the year after a great 43-36 win at Lone Grove last week. But the road for a gold ball for Kingfisher doesn't get any easier with a trip to Tulsa to take on Lincoln Christian in the quarterfinals. Lincoln Christian is 11-0 and has been just absolutely dominant on both sides of the football all year. Mark Rogers, Kingfisher at Lincoln Christian.
I've picked against Kingfisher the last 2 weeks, and I'm 0-2. But I'm going to pick against them this week, so maybe they can use that as a motivation to get the win against Lincoln, who is an incredible team. I really like to see Lincoln play a game against one of the teams from 4A and probably even some 5A teams. I think that they're that good. Tons of kids out. Coach Ricky's son is a good quarterback. They've got players all over the field. I think this is going to be a really tough task for Kingfisher. Congratulations on them having a nice season, but I'm going with Lincoln Christian here. They're going to be tough to beat in this class.
Coach Meek.
Yeah, big win for the Yellow Jackets last week. Going beating Lone Grove. Coach Roof has his guys playing really well. Kingfisher will be inspired. They'll play tough. But my gosh, I mean, Lincoln Christian, the last 8 weeks, they're giving up less than a half a point a game defensively. It's just been absolutely dominant on both sides of the ball. So that'll be a tall task for the Yellow Jackets. They'll play inspired. They'll play tough, but I don't see them overcoming Lincoln Christian in this one, so I'll take the Bulldogs.
Shaq.
I had an assistant coach, I think, hit the nail on the head today when he said that Kingfisher needs to get a turkey leg, enjoy the live music, and try to score a point Friday, which hasn't been easy to do. I mean, you take away the Shiloh Christian game, and Shiloh's, I mean, probably smaller than Lincoln, but I think plays 5A football in Arkansas. But I think they've given up 3 points since week 3. They're insane. Like Mark said, I mean, I'd love to see Lincoln and Tuttle hook it up. I think that'd be a war, but I don't think it's going to be a war on Friday. I think Lincoln picks the score and Kingfisher gets to hoop it up on Monday.
Coach Elrick.
I like Kingfisher. I do. Man, they're gritty. They're tough. They find ways to win big games. The win on the road last week was huge. I think Jed Birdwell's a tough quarterback. I think they do a lot of things right. And I think they'll score. But I don't think they're going to score that much, and I'm going to take the University of Lincoln Christian to move on.
Jacob, let's go to you.
Yeah, Kingfisher, what a great season. Kind of a bounce-back season. But that program has been through a lot, and to get to 8 wins and but then run into this buzzsaw. Lincoln Christian. You mentioned I like to see Lincoln Christian and Tuttle. I like to see Lincoln Christian and Bishop McGinnis play. Just to see, those two, Christian schools, those two private schools, probably with the most talent in the state on both sides of the state. I think Lincoln's got the most talented kids on the east side, and I think Bishop McGinnis obviously showed with that win against Guthrie just how talented they are. I think that'd be a really fun game. But let's talk about the game we're really going to see. kudos to Kingfisher. I agree with Coach Eldrick. I do think Birdwell and Blair, those two seniors, they're gonna play inspired. This first quarter might be competitive, but Lincoln Christian is just a powerhouse. And until I'm proven otherwise, they've outscored their opponents 592 to 42 on the season. I got them a 27.5 point favorite, and out of respect for my dad and stepmom who live in Kingfisher, I think Kingfisher stays under that number, but just barely. 41-14, Lincoln Christian.
All right, those are our 12 Skordle school net matchups this week in the second round of the playoffs. Obviously, we wish the best for all of our Skordle Network schools throughout the rest of the playoffs. The winner, by the way, of that Kingfisher Lincoln Christian game gets the winner of the Heritage Hall and NOLA game in the semifinals. All right, we're going to discuss very quickly, going to discuss 4 non-Squirrel Network football games. We'll just do a sentence or two on each game for each panel member. We're going to start with Holdenville at Adair. Mark Rogers.
Ooh, what a game, man. These two teams are both really good in the class this year. I'll go Adair on the home field.
Sean.
Yeah, Adair's rolling 11-0. Their closest game this year was a 7-point win over a really good NOLA team who's in the 3A quarters this week. So I'm gonna take the Warriors in this one.
Jack.
Adair for sure. I think Coach Bradbury does a great job, and I think they're. I'll be shocked if they don't win it this year.
Coach Elbert.
Right. Holdenville, what they do on offense is different. It's single wing. It's quirky, and I don't think it matters. I'm going Adair.
Jacob.
This game is at Adair. I didn't have this on my list, so I am going completely off the top here. Fast as my little fingers can punch into AI. Game's at Adair, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. So I think Holdenville's on paper just a little bit of better team than Adair is, but that home field advantage makes a big difference. I've got Holdenville a 3.5-point favorite on the road at Adair, and I think Holdenville pulls off the win 34-31.
Mustang at Broken Arrow. Mark Rogers.
Jaden O'Neill did not play for Mustang in the first time these two teams met. It was a low-scoring game, 14-10. Man, Broken Arrow is they're very good on defense. So this is hard. This is a hard game to call. I was really impressed with Mustang when I saw them a couple weeks ago, and they gave Bixby the best fight that Bixby's had, I think, most of the year outside of the first half against Jinx. So I'll go Mustang.
Coach Meek.
Yeah, I agree with Mark. Mustang made me a believer in that game against Bixby, and District 1 and 6A1 is brutal. I mean, getting a third seed in District 1 behind Bixby and Jinx is no shame in that. I think they're a really good football team. I'm going to pick Mustang to go on the road and get the upset here.
Our two panel coaches probably haven't watched much 6A film this year, but Coach Elbert, give us your thoughts. Mustang or Broken Arrow?
I'm just going to go off of ADM. Broken Arrow's clocking in around 6,000 students. Mustang's only got, 3,700? Surely Broken Arrow can find 22 that can go out of that. So I'm going to take the 2,200 more in the student population and go with Broken Arrow.
Coach Jack.
I actually have watched quite a bit of Bixby film this year, so I watched the Bixby Mustang game too. So, but I'm taking the Tigers and the fighting Jay Wilkinsons, who Chris will give me a nod since he's a Stroud boy. But Jay's offense coordinator there, I think he finds a way to manufacture enough points to pull out the win.
All right, Jacob. Mustang at Broken Arrow.
Broken Arrow strengths in the trenches, a big offensive line. They create running lanes for Octavian Robinson at the middle. Mustang strength that is a dynamic, big play offense, passing game, speed on the edges. I think the key battle will be Mustang's pass rush and coverage, and if they can contain Broken Arrow's run game, disrupt. But if Broken Arrow dominates the line of scrimmage and controls the clock, which is what I've seen a lot out of them this season, Mustangs could be playing from behind. I agree with Coach Shack. I like Broken Arrow playing at home. I got them a 6-point favorite, which means I basically on a neutral field would see this game as a pick 'em. And I think Broken Arrow wins 28-24.
All right, let's go to Grove at Tuttle. Mark.
Tuttle is, I think they're on a collision course to the championship this year. Cruz Campbell, second season where I think he's thrown 4 interceptions the last 2 years. They take care of the ball. They're good inside. They're good up front. It's a really good football team. I think they'll handle Grove.
Sean.
Good win by Grove last week over Sallisaw. I picked Sallisaw in that game. Grove proved me wrong. Tuttle's too good. They're on a collision course with Elgin for the 4A title game. Again, rematch from last year, so I'll take the Tigers.
Coach Elrick.
I agree with Coach Meek on the collision course for the title game. Man, Tuttle's where it's at, so I'm going Tuttle.
Check.
I'm taking Coach Ballard and the Tuttle Tigers.
Jacob.
Tuttle's undefeated status and dominance, they're the team to beat. Grove's very capable, had a great season, but on the road against a near perfect squad. Grove's speed is real, but Tuttle's steam engine of an offense has been clearing the tracks all year long. I ride Tuttle and a 10.5-point favorite to roll and pull away 38-24.
All right, guys, our last pick'em game of the night, Del City at Lawton Mac. Mark Rogers.
Ooh, good game. These teams haven't played in a while. I'll go Del City.
Coach Meek.
Yeah, I'll take Del City too. I'll agree with Mark. They've been playing well all year, so I'll roll with the Eagles on this one.
Coach Shack, Coach Elrick, really appreciate having you guys on tonight. Thanks for your time preparing for this show. Shack, Del City at Lawton Mac.
I'll take Lawton Mac. Why not?
Coach Elrick. Coach Elrick.
Am I up?
Yep.
Hey, real quick, was it Pryor that knocked off Del City a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
Aren't they in the same district?
Yeah.
I see that.
Yes.
But I think Del City is really good. Really impressed with Pryor's win over Del City a couple weeks ago. I think Coach Manning down at Lawton Mac does a really great job. I'm going to go with those guys.
Jacob Resource.
This is another one of those tight games, tough to pick. Del City has a slight edge, I think, due to their senior talent, and MacArthur's tough, man, especially at home. But I lean Del City to manage the key moments and cover the 5.5-point spread that I have them and win the game 31-24. But again, MacArthur's capable of winning this football game. I think we all agree this is going to be a great game, but Del City in a squeaker moves on.
All right, that'll do it for us on this playoff edition Pater Pick'em show. Be sure to tune in to Skordle app, Skordle.tv, and the individual school networks to watch those 12 Skordle Network games that we discussed earlier in the show for free. Thanks as always to our sponsors, and a special thanks to Coach Shackelford and Coach Elrick for their time coming on the show tonight. Enjoy the quarterfinals this week, Oklahoma, and we'll see you back again next week.
Brahms Banana Fudge Sundae, overflowing with delicious hot fudge and fresh slices of banana. Treat yourself to a banana fudge sundae at Brahms, where every spoonful is pure bliss.